The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, we are brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we're going to do that today because we have a good show for you. Not only do we have a preview of all the football games on the network tonight, but we have a live guest joining us, and it is a bona fide superstar, absolutely pun intended, Bo Alazas from West Branch joining us. Bo, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on game day.
Yes, of course.
So my first question for you, man, like you stepped into this role this year and you have lit the world on fire. What was what was it like this year for you, especially in the preseason in the summer, kind of knowing this role was yours and trying to grab it by the horns and run with it?
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, it's a great opportunity to be able to lead West Branch. I mean, it's a special place to be. So yeah, it's been exciting all summer long, and we've been working hard, and it's finally paying off, and it's nice.
Everyone knows what Drew DeShields meant to this team the last 2 years and what he was able to do under quarterback. Was there ever any pressure trying to step into his shoes and trying to fill the expectations that West Branch had after he graduated?
No, I don't think it was pressure filling his shoes. I mean, I was just trying to create my own shoes. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to
Yep.
fill his shoes because obviously I'm not the same player who he was. He was a special player. But yeah, I'm just creating my own shoes, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that, and hope you continue that and reach our goals this year.
One of the things that I thought was really impressive from the start of the season, your relationship with your receivers, it seemed like you'd been playing with them since you were, a freshman, and you had been a 3-year quarterback playing with them. What was it like to build your relationship with these receivers and to really be on the same page since day one with them?
Yeah, obviously we've been working, like that's a big thing in our offense is chemistry, and we've been going at it since spring and summer. So obviously this summer we've been building our chemistry and building our timing with our receivers, and it's paid off.
You already have over 2,000 yards passing on the season. I mean, take us back to, the first game and some of your expectations of yourself and some goals. Was this good of a season in your mirror? Was this something that you thought, hey, this is something I'm capable of?
Yeah, this is something, yeah, we all knew was capable. Obviously we're in a great place, but we still haven't reached our goals. But yeah, this is definitely something we thought where we should be. This is what we expected. We didn't expect anything less than what we're doing right now.
Let's talk about your first varsity game as a quarterback. Obviously, being QB1 is something that every kid dreams of when they're little. They're playing PB football. You dream of being that QB1 and having that respect that you get from being in that role. What was it like for you, game one, to step into the field and know that this is reality? I'm varsity QB1.
Yeah, obviously game one I was a little nervous, especially with that Canfield. That's a tough opponent week one, so I was a little nervous. But yeah, I think it wore off after the first couple of drives, and I was just ready to play, and I knew what I was capable of and what I could do. So yeah, the first game was definitely a little nervous, and obviously we struggled a little bit in that first game, and we're to where we are now.
Obviously, you weren't just given this opportunity. It was something that you worked extremely hard for to earn this right to be the quarterback. What was it like for you after all the work you put in to have the coaching staff, call you the guy and give you the opportunity to go under center?
Yeah, it means a lot to be the QB at West Branch. I mean, look at the guys before me; they're great players. So yeah, it means a lot, and it's really exciting. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
One of the things I got to ask, because even before you, Drew Shields stepped into a role after a really good quarterback graduated in Brock Hilliard, and he stepped into a kind of an unknown situation. A lot of people didn't know what Drew Shields was going to bring to the table, and obviously he did what he did, and now you're in the same shoes where a lot of people coming into the season on the outside didn't know what you were going to bring to the table, and you have been lighting the world on fire. What is it about this West Branch program that kind of makes it easy for a new guy to step in and have so much success?
I think the coaches really help with that. I mean, I think our coaching staff is one of the best in the area. So really, they simplify it for you and they make it easy, and they get the good offense out there, and they're calling the right plays at the right time that are helping us out. So it just makes us look good.
Let's shine a light on that coaching staff. How comfortable were you game one with the offense, and how prepared did you feel to go out there to play? I mean, how much did they work on you in the summer to be ready to go week one?
Obviously the offense I'm really familiar with. I've been running it since my freshman year when Coach Cooper first installed it. That was actually the first year he started. So I've been doing this offense for 4 years. So I'm really comfortable with this offense, and I think that's one of the big things that's helped me. Like just when he calls a play, I know what everyone's doing. I know the progressions. I know the reads and everything because I've been doing it for so long.
We talked about the chemistry on this team, and obviously you look at the numbers, you have a lot of weapons, you have a lot of go-to guys that you can get the ball to. What kind of a blessing is that as a quarterback to have so many guys that you can trust on to go do their job and get open for you to get the ball to?
Yeah, this receiving core I think is one of the best we've had with you got a big tight end, Gavin Gregory, and then you guys playmakers with Anthony, Joey, and JT. I mean, you give them the ball in space and they're gonna make something happen. So it's a lot of it's just giving the ball in space and they make plays after the catch.
I got to
Helps a
give
lot.
you a chance to give some love to the O line because I
Yeah.
know that you want to, and they do a lot of the dirty work that they don't get credit for. Shout out your O line and all the things that they do for you, this offense, and for you as well as a quarterback.
Yeah, O-line, I love them, man. They're great people. They're first year guys. They're doing their best and they're doing a really good job. Um, you got the tackles, then you got Brooks and Hang and Summers and Marty. They're great people and they do a lot of the hard work and we really appreciate what they do and they're doing great.
Obviously, you can't do what the NFL quarterbacks do to appreciate their own line. You're not handing out Rolexes or handing out, free
Yeah.
steak dinners. But what kind
Can't
of
do
things do
that.
you do to show that offensive line that you appreciate what they do and that you understand that like your success is kind of tied into what they're doing and the hard work that they're putting in?
Yeah, I'm just good friends with them and I talk to them. I thank them all the time and say all the things I appreciate about them and how much they protect me. I really appreciate what they do.
Maybe some Handles ice cream every now
Yeah,
and then
maybe.
on the QB,
Yeah.
Um, what is so fun about this team? Well, I love watching you guys. You guys are having fun. Obviously, you're there to do a job, but you never take things too seriously. You're always kind of loose. What is it about the program that lets you guys do that?
Yeah, we're just always having fun. That's one of the big things. And then another big thing is our chemistry. I mean, we're always close. We're always hanging out with each other. After games, we're hanging out. Saturdays, we're hanging out. It's just the chemistry that makes it fun, and we're always having fun. And Coach Cooper, that's one of his big things, have fun. If you're not having fun, what are you doing out there? You know what I mean? So we're out there having fun. That's what we do.
You've brought up chemistry a couple of times. What are some of your favorite things off the field that this team's able to do to build that bond, build that chemistry?
I mean, we always go out to eat after wins. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings, so that's always fun, celebrating a win. And then we're hanging out on Saturdays watching college football and playing Madden, what we typical boys do. So we're having fun.
B Dubs after a win. What's your go-to order? What are you getting after a big win at B Dubs?
10 traditional barbecue wings with some fries. That's what I'm getting every time.
That's a classic. When then you
Yeah,
you go to college football, you watch that on Saturday with the team. What's your team? What's the team you're watching? Who do you like watching to play?
I'm a big Buckeyes fan, so anytime the
Yeah,
Buckeyes are on, I'm watching. Yeah,
you're not deterring from the path of Ohio. I like it.
yeah.
And then let's talk about Madden. Right, you're a Madden player. You play on the sticks. What's the go-to team to play on Madden?
I'm a big Giants guy. I love the Giants. I love Daniel
Giants.
Jones. I mean, that's someone I look up to. So yeah,
How did you
always using
fall
him.
into being a Giants fan?
I'm just a New York fan. I love the Knicks. I love the Yankees. So that's what I like.
I like that you keep it consistent. You don't just follow like the big Yankees team. You're consistent with the Giants, and you'll follow the Knicks too because that means you're a fan of the city. I like it.
Yeah.
Bo, you are not a stranger to being on the big stage in other sports. We've known your name on the baseball diamond for a long time. How much did you lean on that experience of being in big situations as a pitcher coming into your first year as a quarterback for West Branch?
Yeah, I think pitching and quarterbacking are kind of similar in the mental aspect of the game. I mean, everyone's eyes are on you, everyone's looking at you. So you got to be, and there's a lot of failure in quarterbacking and pitching. So you got to be able to handle adversity. I think they're very similar positions. So that's really helped me out.
A lot of the stigma, I guess, of the players that try to do both is, oh, you're gonna mess up your arm slot, or you're gonna screw with your pitching rotation, or anything like that. Can you throw away all that? I mean, how much does the football affect what you can do on the baseball field?
I mean, if anything, I think it helps me. Football is a little bit heavier, so I'm throwing a heavier ball all fall. You know what I mean? So I think it strengthens my arm a little bit. So if anything, it helps me for the baseball season.
Feels like baseball players that also play football are becoming a big thing in the NFL now as well, with Russell Wilson, of course, Patrick Mahomes, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. How much do you think that the ability to throw from different arm slots, the ability to just make things up on the fly, help you on the field?
Yeah, you just got to be a creative player, and baseball is one of those creative sports. I mean, you'll never have the same play twice, so every ground ball is different, and that really helps in football because most plays are not the same. You got to be able to be creative and make something happen.
It's game day, so we can't let you go without asking about what's your game day routine. What do you go through on a game day? What's it like to go through a whole Friday leading up to 7 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah, usually I have school, so I'll go to school, and then I'll come home, and I usually play a game of NCAA football 14. I have a little Road to Glory going, so I usually play that, and then I usually go to Subway, and I'll go to meetings, and then it's game day.
Road to glory before the game. So what? Like, who's your
Yeah.
dynasty team? Like, who's your road to glory team?
I play with Ohio State. I'm a QB at Ohio State, my guy. So
Keep
I always play
trucking, man. Let's go.
one game before each game.
Bo, I want to ask about just the expectations of the future. Obviously, you guys are already off to such a great season. What are some things that now this team is putting on the goal board for the rest of the year?
I mean, obviously, we got a big game tonight. We got to win the EDC. That's our first goal. We want to beat our rivals next week, and then we want to make it as far as we can in the tournament. So I think we have a chance to make a tournament run. Our region's really tough, though, so we're going to have to be ready to play.
All right, Bo, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out all the people in your life that support you and make a difference in your career. Anyone that you think deserves some limelight, some shout outs, I want to give you the time to do that.
Yeah, I'll shout out my parents. I mean, they really helped my dad and my mom, and my brother and sister are there supporting me. And then just the whole coaching staff has been supporting me this whole time, and all the guys around me in the locker room have been supporting me. So I appreciate all of them.
Well, all is us. We love watching you play, man. We'll be at your game tonight live on YSN. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Bo Alazas, the quarterback, QB1 at West Branch, putting on a show so far in the Warrior country. And I gotta pat my own back a little bit. If you go back to week 1, I mean, I was just saying, hey, this Bo Alazas, you gotta watch him. You gotta watch him for West Branch. He's gonna do big things. He's not something to be slept on. I think a lot of people were saying, well, they lost Judas Shields. What's this offense gonna look like? And you can go back. I was saying, I know this kid's going to be a great athlete. He already proves it in the other sports he plays. So you kind of just had the feeling in the water that this West Branch coaching staff and the program primes kids to step up for the next opportunity. And I knew he was already someone that had been in big game situations in other areas. So I'm not surprised at all that Bose already has 2,000 yards and counting, 2,200 to be exact. And then 20 plus TDs and through the air. It's just an amazing season he's having, and we're definitely hoping that he can keep it going for a long time. West Branch has a big game tonight. So do a lot of other teams. We're gonna preview that Friday night football action a little bit later on the show, but first we do have to recap last night and go over what was going down last night on the YSN family and on the network. So let's pop up the scoreboard, which is always brought to you by the scoreboard show tonight is brought to you by Joe Dickey Electric. The scoreboard on YSN Live is brought to you by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. Thursday, October 12th, 2023. We had some volleyball last night. This was pretty much the end of the regular season. No teams, I don't think, are playing on Saturday as far as I know, unless they're playing at a non-YSN school. Sometimes those ones slip through the cracks a little bit, but for the most part, this should be the end of the regular season in volleyball. Hubbard ends in the right way with the sweep over Cardinal Mooney. You see Crestview, they have the perfect regular season under wraps. It is done. They sweep Salem. That is 12 straight matches of sweeps for Crestview, and they have only lost one set all season. Jefferson gets the win over Conneaut last night, 3-0. We saw East Palestine cap off the regular season and senior night with a 3-0 win over Southeast. Canfield, they get the win over Boardman, 3-1. That was actually Wednesday night. Girard and Hoban do battle. Girard won last year 3-2, but not this year at all. Hoban continues to dominate 3-0. They get the win there on the home court of the Indians. That game was supposed to take place in Hoban. They were in Girard last year, but Hoban's gym was being used for other things, and they had to move that to Girard a couple of weeks ago. So Hoban not phased by this change in the schedule. They go on the road. They get the win. Boys soccer last night, we saw Warren JFK continue their incredible season, 1-0. They get the win over St. Thomas Aquinas. Bristol beats Brookfield 4-0. We had East Palestine fall to Grand Valley 5-0. South Range beats Girard 6-0. Final score between Hubbard and Niles was a not reported. I'm sorry about that. 5-4, a close one between Newton Falls and Southeast boys soccer there. And then the football, the only show in town for football last night, Canfield Howland, and Canfield goes on the road, gets the win big time, 34-7 over the Tigers. A big third quarter is the difference maker for the Cardinals this time. I think it was 14-7 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, and they had a 21-point third quarter. And you look at the player of the game. I mean, look at what the game that Scotty Eaton had: 211 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. 115 of those yards came in the third quarter. It was 21-7 at halftime, and Canfield went on to win 34-7 with that big third quarter boost. No score in the fourth quarter. Of course, both teams were kind of in, getting out of the game mode. So 34-7, Canfield gets the win. Scotty Eaton with the big game for Canfield with 200 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. That's a big performance for the Cardinals as they continue to roll after that tough start to the season. They are now 5-3, 6-3. 5-3. They did have that bye. I'm sorry. It threw me off because 5-3 looked like, we're on week 9, but I forgot Canfield had the bye week. So Canfield's 5-3, and they have one more game on the docket next week. Let's scroll over to that last column before we get off of the scoreboard from last night. Let's see if that did it. I don't think it did, though. Did not. All right. That's this. All right, let's see what happened on this final column. Boys soccer, Canfield gets the win over Marlington, 3-2. A big win for the Cardinals heading into their tournament time. How about McDonald? They sweep Columbiana at home. They were close sets, but McDonald gets the 3 wins. The second set, by the way, 30-28. That is the second night in a row we've seen teams go to 30 in sets. So volleyball is starting to heat up as we go into tournament time. McDonald gets the win, though, in straight sets over Columbiana, just the second loss of the season for the Clippers. So McDonald going into that tournament where they're the 9 seed in the Division 5 Columbiana bracket. Not Columbiana's bracket as the team, but the Columbiana hosted bracket. So McDonald, hot going into the tournament. Perry also gets the win over Orange in straight sets, 3-0. So that is your Thursday scoreboard. And now we'll go from there. And we'll pop into today's scoreboard. Friday the 13th. Ooh, spooky. And I think a lot of these teams are hoping that it's not a nightmarish night. Friday the 13th, October. That's a bad mojo when it's also spooky season and it's Friday the 13th. Some bad things can happen, man. I'm telling you. Don't look at any black cats tonight. South St. John is playing Pymatuning Valley. Pymatuning Valley looking to just use their size to dominate like they have so many times this season. That's a big Lakers team. St. John has a big task ahead of them. We'll do maybe half of these, and we'll take our first break of the day. How about that? I don't think we can get through all of them before I need a break. Fitch goes to Boardman tonight. That's a rivalry in the quote-unquote AAC, even though that conference not really as existent in the football world. But a big opportunity for Fitch to bounce back from last week's disappointment over Madison, Washington. But Boardman, even though their record does not show it, they definitely have not gotten the results they wanted. They have been a scrappy team that shows they can score, they can fight, they can really compete with people. So I wouldn't lackadaisically walk into this game if I was Fitch. You definitely don't want to lose this one to Boardman. So Fitch needs to just put away last week, be focused, be angry, but channel that anger, not be too emotional, and definitely not lazily walk into this game. Beaver Local going to Cambridge tonight. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff. Beaver Local, a tough middle of the season, but they looked good last week. So they're trying to bounce back, finish the year strong with 2 wins in the final 2 weeks. Campbell Memorial, they'll go to LeBray. LeBray also trying to bounce back. This is an opportunity for LeBray to get back on track after a tough loss to Liberty last week. At home against a Camel team that is definitely struggling, the Vikings have a pretty good opportunity to get some frustration out. Big one for the Warriors against the Warriors. It's Carrollton versus West Branch tonight. Just talked to Bo Alazas a little bit ago on the show, and they're not looking ahead of anybody. They know that the EBC is in their grasp, and I think if they win tonight, they clinch it. So they're looking to do that tonight, and then obviously next week it's rivalry week for West Branch against Salem. So a big 2 weeks for the Warriors before they start getting ready for playoffs, not just for obviously trying to get momentum, but they want as good of a playoff seeding as they possibly can get because, as Bo said, West Branch's region is absolutely no joke, so they can't mess around in there. They got to get the best placement possible for playoff spots, and West Branch going to try to do that. They need 2 more impressive wins. They can get them in the next 2 weeks. Caney going to Ursuline, the old school Youngstown rivalry, and this one is one of those ones where you throw records out the window, right? I mean, Cheney is very physical. They're very gritty. They kind of implement that Youngstown mentality. We've seen their defense absolutely win them games and hold pretty good offenses down to under 20 points. They're going to need that. They need their defense to step up tonight. They can't let Ursuline run away with this one. They can't let the Irish turn this into a track meet because I don't think Cheney has the offense this year to keep up with a back and forth kind of shootout. So Cheney needs their defense to step up. They need to be physical, maybe get some takeaways, but they've proven they can do it in the past. Like this season, they've had games where their defense has definitely shown up big time. So not putting it past the Cowboys to throw a little bit of the kitchen sink out on defense against Ursuline. You got to do something to slow down that Irish team that has been rolling on all cylinders. Lakeside hosting Conneaut. I'm actually interested in this one. Lakeside, last week, obviously, they were playing a powerhouse in Geneva. But one of the things they did really well, especially early, was run the ball and run it out of the shotgun. And when you can do that against a pretty big Geneva team, it's the same story against Conneaut. They're going to be physical. They're going to be big. They're going to be a run-first offense. And Lakeside's going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to stop the run. So definitely a game where the Dragons and the Spartans are going to be battling in the trenches. And whoever controls that line is going to win the game. I know that's kind of a football cliche because technically it's true in every game. You're not going to win too many football games not controlling the line of scrimmage. But at the same time, I think this is one of those ones where it's put even under a bigger microscope, right? It's really going to be the big aspect of this game of how that line of scrimmage is going to be moved. East going to Mooney. Mooney trying to, once again, another team like a couple that we've already talked about, trying to just find a groove, bounce back from a couple of tough weeks. Warren Harding, beat them in the last seconds. That was heartbreaking. East comes in with a team that has proven they can be formidable. Their offense scores in bunches. They're physical. So it's not a team that I would want to play if I was staggering a little bit. Mooney, hopefully they had a big week of practice and they're able to just kind of blank everything that has happened in the last 2 weeks out. And if Mooney plays their game, if they just kind of come in and they play the way that they know how to play, they should be the favorites in this one. But you never know how that'll go. You got to remember, these are still 16 to 18-year-old kids. You don't know how well or not well they're going to do in letting go of a tough stretch of football. And Mooney's definitely going to have to let some stuff go and focus on the here and the now and the opportunity in front of them, because this would be a big win. East is an upper division school. They have a couple of wins under their belt. Mooney needs it because they need to get the best playoff position they can possibly get. They're in that tough region as well. East Liverpool traveling to Oak Glen. I think this will be a big one for the Potters. They have a big opportunity to go out on the road and get a statement win against Oak Glen in West Virginia. East Palestine traveling to Latonia. I think this one will be competitive. I really do. Latonia showed me a lot against Lisbon. I know that final ended up being kind of lopsided, but you watch that game. If you actually watch that game from start to finish, you would say, once again, like we've said many times, this Latonia team's a little bit different than the one we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years. They're disciplined. They're buying in. They're not giving up on stuff. Do they have a lot to fix as far as, being in the right spots, football execution? Sure, they do. But are they a team that buys into what their coach is selling? Yes. And eventually, if you keep doing that, keep trusting the process, that's going to get you results. And if they play like they did against Lisbon, they're going to give East Palestine a heck of a game tonight. I promise you that. Edgewood going to Jefferson. The Falcons have had really tough year this year, and Edgewood is angry after last week. So this has the culmination to be one where you see a really good offense in the Warriors let loose. Jefferson obviously trying to avoid that at home. They don't want an offensive battle to ensue. They want to be a defensive team. So the Warriors, Edgewood, trying to really spring that offense back into action. Girard traveling to Hubbard. Tough one for Hubbard last week. They were facing a team in Lakeview that was definitely stumbling into that week, and they still could not gather enough to get the win. Lakeview beat them by 2 touchdowns. So whatever's going on in Hubbard, they had a really good non-conference season, right? They really did a good job getting into NEA play, but they have stumbled a bit into the conference. So they need to find a way at home. This would be a big opportunity for them to get a win against a Girard team that has been kind of up and down. You don't know what Girard's going to show up at any given time. Kind of up and down through a game, too. Like, we've seen games where Girard has looked really good in the first quarter, and they slump in the second, and look really good in the third, and they make a couple of mistakes down the stretch. Things like that, where it's not just a roller coaster in the season. It's a roller coaster during a game. So you just have to take advantage of those opportunities when Girard's in a down spot. You have to really grab them and make sure they stay down. You can't let them peek back up into those guys, because when Girard is up, when they're on that uptick, and to stay with the roller coaster metaphor, if they're on those chains going up the hill and they're at the peak, that is a dang good football team. The problem that they've had this year is they get to that peak, and then, like a roller coaster, they just go straight down and then come back up and then back down, and they can't find consistency. So Hubbard's going to have to try to get them consistently down, right? That's going to be the goal for the Eagles tonight. Girard, obviously, the opposite. We have Grand Valley traveling to Berkshire tonight. That's a tough one for Grand Valley. Berkshire, one of those teams outside the YSN family that we always see in the playoffs. They're a good football team. We know what they're about. We've seen them plenty of times. Not a YSN team, but we're familiar with them, and they're a dang good team. So Grand Valley gonna have to fight a lot to get a win tonight in Berkshire on the road against this in a stadium that's only 1 year old too. So. Not even because they opened it for business, I believe, halfway through the season last year. So, not even a year old for the Berkshire Badgers' new stadium. Let's go a couple of more, and then we'll take a break. Lakeview traveling to Poland, the Battle of the Bulldogs, and Lakeview finally felt like they were back to what they want to be last week. They looked like the Lakeview that we saw go toe-to-toe with South Range in Week 4. So, if that Lakeview shows up, I think when you go and you lose to South Range by 6, you prove if you play like that, you can definitely play with anybody. So Poland cannot sneak into this one just because Lakeview has had a couple of games this year where they've looked not good. They looked really good last week. So if they figured things out, if they put things together, then they can be a formidable team, and you cannot sleepwalk into them. Coach Pavlansky, he's a vet. He knows that. I don't think he'd ever sleepwalk into anybody, no matter what their record was. But I think he can look on film and see when Lakeview looks good and when they don't look good and what the differences were. So hopefully they can key on that pretty quick and decide, okay, is Lakeview doing this right? Let's attack it. If Lakeview isn't, obviously, Poland could run away with this one. But I wouldn't be surprised, everybody, if Lakeview makes this a game because, like I said last week, they seem to turn things around a little bit with the win against Hubbard. Liberty coming off of their big win over LeBray. They are going to travel to a struggling champion team. So a big opportunity for the Leopards to get 2 wins in a row. And the Leopards are just – they seem like they're always this football team that can really get big wins that almost don't expect them to, but then they're also against teams that maybe they should beat. They kind of go down a little bit. They've been a pretty much 500 program for the last 4 years. You look at their end record. I think they had 3 years in a row actually where they were 5-5 on the dot. Then they had 1 year where they went 7-3. Made the playoffs last year. So Liberty just taking the right steps. Of course, Coach Simon's been doing a really, really good job down there. But I think this is an opportunity for them to really, really stretch momentum into Week 10. They're facing a champion team that just, quite frankly, has struggled this season. They lost so many seniors last year. A lot of kids trying to find their place in the program, and they might have to go through this year to get back to what that program was trying to do in the years past. Like when you lose so many seniors, you're just going to be in a tough spot when you're in a small school like Champion. So Liberty's going to try to take this opportunity. They're not going to feel bad for Champion. No one's going to feel bad for them. This is football, right? And they're going to try to take as much momentum into Week 10 as possible. How about this one? I think this is a big one for Lisbon. They've already beaten United. They've already beaten Valley Christian. When you think of the EOAC and the big boys in that conference, Southern is one of those ones that's in the conversation. So Lisbon, okay, you beat United. You beat Valley Christian. Both of those were at home, right? Now can you go on the road in Sleenville, in the Wigwam, and get the trifecta, the third win over the 3 big teams in the EOAC? I'm not going to sleep on the Blue Devils at all. They've proven themselves. I've given them a lot of credit. They have come out on top. It has never been pretty. They haven't won by a lot. They haven't destroyed teams. They've definitely made their own mistakes in those games, but they like to muck up a football game. They like to really make it dirty, make it not clean at all, sloppy. That's kind of football they like to play. So they force teams to make mistakes and capitalize off of them, and they like those sloppy games. And Lisbon's definitely going to try to do that in the Wigwam tonight. It's going to be hard though. Southern's style of football is a lot harder to force mistakes from because they're just no nonsense. We're just going to run the ball right down your throat kind of football. And unless you fumble the ball, there aren't a lot of things you can do wrong. You just have to, it's just, I'm more physical than you. So you're not going to scheme your way into making them make mistakes. It's this old school, you got to buckle your chin straps and be the more physical team kind of football. So maybe a little bit tougher to drag Southern into a sloppy game where a lot of mistakes are made, but Lisbon has also proved that they're a physical defense. So I think they'd be up for the task, but I think this is going to be one of the best games of the night. And on that note, I think it's a perfect time to take a commercial break and hear from our sponsors. And then when we get back, we will hit the second half of Football Friday preview here on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Be back in a bit.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn.
Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists.
Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats.
Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Nestled here in the beauty and splendor of Mill Creek Metro Parks are two of America's best golf courses, as selected by Golf Week magazine. Ranked number 9 in Ohio by TripAdvisor. Come play like a pro on these award-winning Donald Ross-designed courses. Enjoy a round with your kids and unwind with your favorite food and drinks in the grill room. For championship golf, look no further than your backyard. Mill Creek Golf Course.
Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by those guys that you just heard from, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Did you know that the highest selling Chevrolet vehicle in the whole history of Chevrolet is the Chevy Silverado? That's no surprise. It is the number one best-selling Chevy vehicle and one of the best-selling trucks. You can find a brand new Chevy Silverado, test drive it, get it if you are in the market for that kind of vehicle at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Make sure to check them out. They'll go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. We thank them for their sponsorship of this show. And we always want to give them their shout outs, their flowers, right? Let's go into the rest of the football preview. We left off at Lisbon and Southern. We're going to pop up the scoreboard here for you. Once again, the scoreboard, if you're just joining us, brought to you by brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. And as we look at the rest of this Friday, after the Lisbon and Southern game, we go into the second half of the schedule. We have Louisville coming into town to face South Range. Louisville, a proud football program that plays a lot of big schools, but their record is struggling this year. So South Range, not trying to slip up, but this is a team that is sneaky because they're big. They're a big team. They play a lot of Federal League type schools, so they're used to giant football. And, they're coming down the South Range. This is kind of like that Green situation. Green, you look at the rest of their season, not a tremendous year. I think they're 4-4 coming into week 9. But at the same time, big football. They play a lot of big teams, and they're used to high-level football because of that. So Louisville trying to come into South Range and kind of do the same thing Green did and throw around their big muscles. Green was able to hold South Range to 7 points on offense. The Raiders, hopefully they learn from that Green game what it takes to beat a team that consistently plays the Division I schedule. So, but you look at South Range and how much they're different from that game against Green. I said this last week too. Every week, South Range seems to get more and more dominant. Like we're seeing more and more glimpses of what South Range looked like last year. In the first couple of weeks, that's when you were supposed to get them. You were supposed to get this team early because they were trying to figure things out. They lost a lot, not just on the field, but obviously their coaching staff, their coach, legendary Coach Yeagley as well. So they were just trying to figure things out, and they found ways to win, except for that Green game. But everyone else, they just found ways to win. They beat Lakeview by 6. They beat Struthers in the last second kind of 2-minute drive. And then after that game, they got more and more dominant. They beat Poland by 2 possessions. Then they blow out their next 2 opponents. Now here they are sitting with an NE8 crown right in their grasp. They're 1 win away from it or a Poland loss. If Poland loses to Lakeview, that'll do it this week. Or if South Range wins next week against Hubbard. Either way, the NE8's right in their grasp. But they have one more challenge out of the conference because this kind of replaces their Jefferson game. So I think this is a good test for South Range. How much have they really come from week 2? Because this team, once again, Louisville 1 win. Like, I get it. They're a 1-win team, but I want to emphasize 1 win against their schedule. And against most Division 5 teams would be a no-win team. Now, South Range obviously is a different story in Division 5, and there are definitely outliers in Division 5. But most Division 5 teams that play Louisville's schedule would probably not be faring much better than Louisville does either. Independent D1, D1 in every other sport, but D3 in football, I think. So that's not a small task to turn your nose at for South Range. So the Raiders trying to prove that they are a very formidable team as they go into week 8 against Louisville. They'll go week 9 against Louisville, and then they'll cap off the NE8 season next week against Hubbard. Louisville going into Waterloo. Louisville has just been churning. That offense has been looking better every week, and they are going into a Waterloo team that has given them trouble in the past. Like not winning the game, but definitely being more competitive against Louisville than other teams have. So Waterloo sneaky tough against Louisville. It's all about matchups. Football is about matchups, and whether that be matchups in personnel, sometimes it's matchups in coaching. And Waterloo has kind of historically been a place where Louisville has to fight to get a win. So we'll see if that happens here tonight. Salem going to be hosting a very improved Marlington team. They're trying to get their second win of the year. The Quakers at home at least against the Dukes. Middle Ridge traveling to Western Reserve. Big one in the MVAC Scarlet here. Middle Ridge trying to bounce back from a tough defensive loss to Springfield. They played really good defense against the Tigers. It didn't really matter. Their offense couldn't get enough. 23-10, they lost to Springfield last week. I think this is going to be the same type of game. Low scoring. I would be surprised if it got more than 24, 25, 26. I know 25 is a terrible score for football, but that middle 20 range, I would be shocked if it got into the 30s. Two defensive teams that like to really control the clock. So I'm very interested in that game. I think it's going to be competitive. It's going to be close. And Middle Ridge knows how to win close games. Brookfield goes and hosts Newton Falls tonight. Brookfield trying to still gain momentum and getting into playoffs as well. Newton Falls trying to get back on track. There was a point in the season where Newton Falls looked really, really good. And then the last couple of weeks, they just haven't been the same team. So they're trying to get back on track. They're on the road. This is a tough road trip going into Brookfield. Brookfield is not an easy place to win. Back to the NE8, Niles goes to Struthers. Struthers has been in the stratosphere. Ever since that 37-33 loss to South Range, Struthers has just been on a revenge tour against teams that they have no qualms with. It's like they're taking out the South Range loss on other teams that had nothing to do with it. It's just, hey, you drew the short straw, you have to play Struthers. But this Niles team is legitimate, and they can really throw a monkey wrench into that mojo. But the way Struthers has been playing right now, phenomenal, and they keep one-upping themselves every week. So Niles is in for a tough one tonight, especially going into Struthers. That's not an easy place to play either. But Antoine Gardner is a wild card that you can't ignore. Springfield going into McDonald, another big test for the Tigers. They passed Middle Ridge's test last week. Can they go into McDonald and pass another test this week? McDonald has really shown a lot of improvement this year. Drew Zajac having a great season for McDonald. They've had a couple of big wins this year, especially early in the season, some close wins. They want to keep this one close and then lean on their clutch ability, lean on that experience in close games to try to see if they can sneak one out against Springfield. Beginning of the season, this might have been one that you circle for the EOAC championship. Not the case right now. Valley Christian and United season did not go the way they hoped yet. I mean, there's still a really good season for both teams, but they're not playing for an EOAC championship this game. They could still win it. I think, especially United still mathematically in it with just a one loss. But Valley Christian looking to squawk all that with a win on the road. You look at this matchup and the way it has historically gone, Valley Christian's way, most of the time because they're a more physical team. Will that go this way this time? I think United, watching them this year, they've upticked their physicality. They used to be just kind of a very spread you out offense that wanted to use space. Those kind of teams don't like physical football. But they're still that. They're still the team that likes to spread you out. They're still the team that gives Luke Courtney a lot of space to make plays. But they're a lot more physical, I think, this year than last year. So this won't be a game where Valley Christian can go in and just say, we're going to push United around. They're not going to be able to handle what the style of football we bring to the table. They can get into physical games. That Lisbon game, even though they lost, that Lisbon forced them to be very physical in that game, and it was 21-20. And United proved that they can do that. So I'm impressed with the adjustments United has made in the offseason to get a little bit more tough and a little bit more physical, and then you don't lose your speed and athleticism with that. That is a grade A adjustment by a really good coaching staff down there in United. So I don't expect Valley Christian to run away with this one like they did last year. And obviously Valley's a different team, and that goes into that too. But their style of football that they play just fed right into that narrative last year, and I don't think it does that this year. So it should be a very good game in Hanoverton between the Eagles and the Eagles. Battle of the Birds. Clippers welcome in the Wellsville tonight. The Clippers on a little bit of a tear. They were a very good one-win team a couple of weeks ago that lost a couple of really heartbreaking games, one possession down to the wire games. So they knew they were better than their record, and they proved it the last 2 weeks, and now they have a chance to prove it again. Wellsville team coming in struggling, stumbling, and Columbiana at home. It's a formula for a big boost into Week 10 for the Clippers. Wyndham going to Matthews. The Bombers getting set to air raid the Mustangs, who, quite honestly, we've seen them a couple of times in the YSN network this year. They're struggling. They're struggling. They're a struggling football team. And this Wyndham team, once again, like a lot of teams this week, have a big opportunity to blast momentum into Week 10. This is a game in Crestview Garfield that is kind of intriguing because, yes, Garfield has been very dominant this season, but you see the last couple weeks, couple of chinks in the armor. Liberty was able to score on them, 42-21. Newton Falls takes an early lead, 14-7. They ended up winning both those games easily. But little here, little there, little there. You find a couple of holes in that team and realize they're human too. They will make mistakes. They will give you things. And Crestview right now feeling a very confident football team. So it's in Garrettsville. That's a tough place to go and play. I know I've said that a lot this week, but a lot of tough places to go and play in the YSN family. That's just the key. But Garrettsville in that MVAC, it's a little bit of a road trip for Crestview. It's an all-grass field. Crestview plays on turf. And that Garrettsville community, they're just a different animal, right? That home crowd takes things up a notch. So if Crestview wants to win this game, they're going to have to stop the run. I mean, that's just you got to stop the run to beat Garfield. That's the name of the game. Easier said than done because they have a state champion wrestler as their running back in Keegan Sell. So good luck with that. But if you can watch that first quarter and see what Newton Falls did to take a lead, bottle that up, Crestview might be in good shape. Like I said, they're a confident football team right now. They won a handful in a row. I think Orange has a good chance to get a win this week against Lutheran West at home. That'll be a fun one in the Lions' Den. Wildcats of Edison traveling to Harrison Central. Harrison Central is a really good football team. I know they're not a YSN team, but you look at the playoff rankings, the season in and now, they'd be in a good spot in the playoffs. They'd be a top 6 seed, I think. Edison, the second half of their season has been loaded, and they've lost close games. Close games to really good teams. So trying to turn that script around and win a close game. It's going to be a close game. Win a close game against a really good team. Try to pull off that win this time. On the road, it'll be a tough one for Edison for sure. Jackson Milton going to Fairport Harding tonight. The Blue Jays and their offense mixed with a defense that forces a lot of turnovers. Going to cause a lot of problems for Fairport Harding. I can guarantee that. Warren JFK traveling to Cleveland Central Catholic, so a trip up to the lake for the Eagles, and JFK trying to bounce off their win last week, trying to use that as momentum and finish the season strong for JFK. Excuse me. Last but not least, we have Sebring against Toledo Christian in 8-man football. The Trojans got the win last week by 10 points. So they're trying to bounce and get momentum. I should say, I keep saying bounce back, but they're trying to grab that momentum and use it this week to get another win for their program against Toledo Christian on the road in Toledo. That's not a quick trip all the way across the state of Ohio. But Sebring, when you're playing 8-man football, you got to be able to make those road trips, right? So that's your Friday football lineup. Before we go here, I'm going to go through the announcers and where you'll be able to watch the games tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find all these games. Here are the ones that are going to be on the network on this Friday the 13th of October. All right, Ashley Beulah St. John, Pie Valley, Sam Torres, and Ray Tirado going to be on the call there, the 440 and goal guys following the Heralds to Pie Valley. Donnie Riccatelli and Don Masula going to be at Boardman for Austintown Fitch and Spartans going at it. Mike McKenzie traveling to Cambridge with Beaver Local. Nate DeCross and Quinn are going to be at LeBray following Camel Memorial. Michael Janaki is going to have that big matchup in West Branch versus Carrollton. You have Tim Corso and Julian Johnson going to be on the call for Cheney and Ursuline. Wow TV and the YouTube link will be on our live games page for Conneaut and Lakeside. Eric Hughes going to be on the call for Mooney hosting East. Gary Burton and Scott Rogers going to be on the call for East Liverpool, traveling to Oak Glen. Tom and Dan Figley going to be in Latonia for East Palestine as they travel with the Bulldogs for that one. Sean Pride and Larry Jennings going to be there on the call for Jefferson and Edgewood. Jamie Thompson, Zach Svensson got the Hubbard home game as they will be taking care of Hubbard in Girard. Tyler Hartz and the Grand Valley students going to be covering Grand Valley at Berkshire. Lakeview at Poland is going to be done by their school broadcast team, so that one's covered for you there. Dom O'Brien going to be on the call for Champion hosting Liberty. Rick Daly has he covered for Lisbon at Southern. DJ Yoakley going to be there for Louisville at South Range. Ty Bartell traveling to Waterloo for Lowville and the Vikings. Matt Mowry and Jared Niederheiser, our Salem crew, going to be in Salem for that one against Marlington. You have Chris Galucci and Billy Capabianca going to be on the call for Middle Ridge at Western Reserve. Steve Hodge and Tom Otto going to be on the call for Niles at Struthers. Noah Doty and CJ Schroeds got you covered for Springfield at McDonald. Chris Sigler traveling to United for Valley Christian and United. That should be a good one in the EOAC. Joe Eusebio going to be at Columbiana for Wellsville and Columbiana. CJ Bako going to be on the call there for Wyndham and Matthews. So those are the games that will be on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. Tomorrow, no games on the network, so relax and get comfy and enjoy the weekend because we are going into week 10 next week, and we're also going into volleyball and soccer tournament time as we flip the calendar after the weekend and come back on Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point, which is always brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet. We appreciate it so much. We appreciate our viewers. And we will see you on Monday from 1 to 2 to recap all the weekend, to get you ready for tournament time and have a lot of fun. Monday, 1 to 2 on Running Point. We'll be back. As always, we are brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin,